Tashtele, good evening everyone and welcome to Tibet This Week, a new weekly feature in English that provides a preview of this week's news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Central Tibetan Administration. First, the headlines. His Holiness the Dalai Lama graces the Laureate and Leaders Summit for Children. Gyawa Gamapa Rinpoche inaugurates photo exhibition titled Grasslands at Tibet Museum. Tibetans paid tribute to His Holiness the Dalai Lama on 27th anniversary of conferment of Nobel Peace Prize to His Holiness. Tibetan self-immolator dies of self-immolation protests. Tugutengse Delek Rinpoche's niece continues European advocacy tour in Brussels and Paris. Office of Tibet Geneva meets with UN officers to raise the Larungar issue. Office of Tibet Washington, D.C. representative Pemba Tsering testifies before Congressional Executive Commission on China. CTA organizes Solidarity Prayer for Larungar and self-immolator Tashir Abdin. On World Human Rights Day, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, along with Sri Pranab Mukherjee, the President of India, graced the inaugural session of Laureates and Leaders for Children Summit organized by fellow Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi. His Holiness the Dalai Lama called for 21st century as an era of peace and said that peace in the world derives from individuals having achieved inner peace. His Holiness further said that anger may be part of our lives, but if we analyze what value it has, we will find that it disturbs our inner peace and almost always leads to negative consequences. His Holiness continued on the theme of peace of mind, the source of which he said was warm-heartedness. If our hearts are warm, then everyone we meet will be like a sister or brother. This is how children are, natural, accepting and inclusive of each other. It's only as they grow up that they begin to see others in terms of us and them, said His Holiness. On December 10, Tibetans all over the world celebrated the 27th anniversary of the conferment of Nobel Peace Prize to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. In Dharamshala, Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Sengye and Speaker Khenpo Sonam Tempel attended the official function along with CTA dignitaries and paid tribute to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Sikyong Dr. Lobsang Sengye in his statement extols the values espoused by His Holiness in his efforts to make the world a better and more peaceful place. At the same time, Sikyong drew attention towards the critical human rights situation prevailing inside Tibet, particularly the ongoing destruction of Larungar Monastery in eastern Tibet. Sikyong also expressed optimism in the middle way policy of the Central Tibetan Administration to resolve the Tibet issue. Speaker Khenpo Sonam Tempel in his statement emphasized the Tibetan Parliament's commitment to the middle way policy to resolve the Tibet issue and called on China to resolve the Tibet issue through dialogue. On Wednesday this week, Gyawa Gamapa Ugyen Tile Doje Rinpoche inaugurated a new photo exhibition titled Grasslands at the Tibet Museum. The exhibition features compilation of images of Tibetan grasslands and pastoral nomads captured by ace photographer Kuncho Gyaltsen, who visited his homeland after 23 years. In his inaugural remarks, Gyawa Gamapa Rinpoche recalled his childhood in a nomadic family and lauded the photographer for his earnest efforts to capture the essence of Tibet through photography. He also emphasized the importance of safeguarding Tibet's fragile ecology for the benefit of all sentient beings. Secretary Sonam Nopo Daopo spoke about the deteriorating environmental situation of the Tibetan Plateau, including the desertification of the rich and verdant grasslands of Tibet, and said we all have the responsibility to do something to safeguard Tibet's environment. Photographer Kuncho Gyaltsen said that the idea behind the photo exhibition was to effectively portray the lives and the unique lifestyles of the people who are still inside Tibet. Grassland is an initiative by the photographer to portray endangered situation of Tibetan religion, language, environment and customs through the agency of photography. Further details have emerged about the Tibetan who set himself on fire on Thursday in Machu County of Tibet's Amdo province. Tashir Abdin, 33, known to his friends and family as Tarap, is a former monk from Tusul village in Machu County, Kalho, eastern Tibet. He succumbed to his injuries. Tashi Rabten is a cousin of Tsirinki, a 20-year-old student who died after carrying out a self-immolation protest in Machu in 2012. Both the self-immolations took place at the same spot. Images and video footages in circulation show Tashi Rabten walking down a street on fire. A later video shows security personnel lifting and removing the body. According to sources, Tashi Rabten's wife and 2 children have been taken into custody and subjected to torture for not signing a declaration that declares that Tashi Rabten set himself alight because of domestic problems and in protest against China's policies. A number of his other relatives have also been detained after approaching the authorities to ask for his body for cremation. This is 145th self-immolation in Tibet since 2009. Nyima, niece of late Tugu Tenzin Delek Rinpoche, who is currently on a European tour to lobby international community and speak on the circumstances leading to the death of Tugu Tenzin Delek Rinpoche in a Chinese prison, met with members of Tibet group in French Senate. Senator Michel Riazon informed the delegation about the workings of the Tibet groups in the Senate and National Assembly and made special reference to the question he had raised in the French Parliament about Tugu Tenzin Delek Rinpoche. The ongoing advocacy tour is jointly organized by the Bureau du Tibet, Brussels, International Campaign for Tibet, and coordinated in France by Bureau du Tibet, Paris. Nyima met with Mr. John Figel, Special Envoy for the Promotion of Freedom of Religion or Belief at the European Union. Mr. Figel made a sympathetic hearing and practical commitments to the issues concerning Tibet. On Monday this week, Office of Tibet Geneva Representative Mr. Nguruk Dochi and Mr. Dawa Tsuldim, UN Affair Officer, met with Mr. Chen Yu Lim, Assistant to UN Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion and Belief, and briefed on the ongoing dismal situation in Larungar. Ms. Chen has assured to update and hand over the press release and film on Larungar to the Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion and Belief. She has also stated that her office is informed of wide-scale demolitions and evictions of monks and nuns and lay Buddhist practitioners in Larungar. Ms. Chen further said that the visit of Special Rapporteur to Tibet is still pending due to the lack of response from Chinese government. On Wednesday last week, Office of Tibet, Washington, D.C. Representative Pemba Tsering testified before a hearing of the Congressional Executive Commission on China on dissidents who have suffered for human rights in China. The hearing was chaired by Representative Christopher Smith, Senator Mr. Marco Rubio, and Senator Randy Holgren. In his 6-minute testimony, Representative Pemba Tsering highlighted the increased control and interference in the religious affairs of Tibetan Buddhist monasteries and institutions by the Chinese government, especially the ongoing demolition at Larungar. Representative provided 11 concrete recommendations to the new administration and the Congress on human rights priorities and U.S. approach toward communist government of PRC on issues such as the treatment of human rights lawyers and the rule of law, religious and press freedom, and the protection of ethnic minorities. On World Human Rights Day, the Kashak of the Central Tibetan Administration and the Tibetan Parliament in Exile held a joint prayer service to express solidarity with the monks and nuns of Larungar and condole the death of latest Tibetan self-immolator Tashi Rabten. Speaker Khenpo Sonam Temple of the Tibetan Parliament expressed his solidarity and concern over the destruction of Larungar and Yachengar Monastery in eastern Tibet. He also condoled the death of latest Tibetan self-immolator Tashi Rabten. Sikyong conveyed his deep condolences over the death of self-immolator Tashi Rabten and said to pray for all those Tibetans who have sacrificed their lives for the cause of Tibet, especially the 145th self-immolators, including Tashi Rabten, is our sacred spiritual duty. Sikyong hoped his aspirations are fulfilled. Sikyong also called on Prince Zayed, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, to take immediate action in this case and push for a visit to Tibet to assess and address the pressing situation in Tibet, particularly in Larungar, and to raise the critical human rights situation in Tibet in the opening statement at the forthcoming 34th UN Human Rights Council session in Geneva. So much for this week. See you next Friday and have a good weekend.